My name is Linda. I'm 32 years old. The day I lost my job. My wealthy husband looked at me, inside our penthouse, surrounded by his luxury life, and said, "From now on, we split everything 50/50ths. I'll only care for myself." I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just looked at him with calm eyes and said, "All right." He had no idea what that all right was about to cost him. Before I tell you what happened next, like this video if you've ever been underestimated. Subscribe if you love real-life stories with quiet revenge. And comment where you're watching from because women everywhere need to hear this. For 7 years, I built Marcus into the man he became. While he climbed corporate ladders, I was his foundation. I managed his stress, organized his life, entertained his clients' wives, maintained his image. When he came home broken from board meetings, I pieced him back together with words, touch, and unwavering belief. He made millions. I made him whole. But the moment my marketing director position was eliminated during company restructuring, something shifted in his eyes. Not sympathy. Not partnership. Calculation. "You're not contributing financially anymore," he said, adjusting his Rolex. "So we need new rules. 50/50 on groceries, utilities, everything. I'm not your provider." 7 years of emotional labor. 7 years of building his empire from the shadows. Reduced to a financial transaction. The pain wasn't in his words. It was in his ease saying them. So began the 50/50 era of our marriage. Marcus monitored every expense like a hawk circling prey. Grocery receipts split down to the penny. Uber rides calculated and divided. When I couldn't afford my half of the electric bill, he suggested I figure it out while sipping wine that cost more than most people's monthly rent. He'd take business dinners worth thousands while I ate ramen, knowing I couldn't match his half of restaurant bills. The penthouse grew cold, not from temperature, but from his systematic removal of warmth. "This is fair," he'd say, counting my portion of household expenses while wearing a suit worth more than my monthly unemployment check. But here's what Marcus never understood about me. When I said all right that first day, I meant it. Not surrender. Acceptance. There's a difference, and that difference would destroy him. I stopped fighting his rules. Instead, I embraced them completely. He thought silence meant surrender. He was wrong. Silence was strategy. I began documenting everything. Every receipt. Every expense. Every moment he enforced his precious 50/50 rule while living in luxury I couldn't access. But more importantly, I started calculating something else. The 7 years of unpaid labor I'd provided. Want to know what 7 years of personal assistant, therapist, event coordinator, image consultant, and emotional support looks like in billable hours? I researched market rates. Executive assistant, $75 per hour. Personal therapist, $200 per hour. Event planning, $100 per hour. Image consulting, $150 per hour. Conservative estimate, $2.3 million in unpaid services. But I didn't stop there. Marcus loved his 50/50 rule? Perfect. I started applying it to everything. Emotional support became billable. When he came home stressed, needing to vent about his day, I listened for exactly 30 minutes. Then I presented him with an invoice, $100 for therapeutic listening services, split 50/50ths. His portion, $50. "What is this?" He laughed, thinking I was joking. "Emotional labor," I said calmly. "You want everything split fairly, right?" His laughter died. I stopped cooking unless he paid for grocery shopping and my cooking services. Market rate for a personal chef, $40 per hour. Meal prep time, 2 hours daily. Weekly cooking bill, $560. His 50/50 portion, $280. "This is ridiculous, Linda." "This is fair, Marcus." "Your word, not mine." I stopped managing his social calendar, his dry cleaning, his gift purchases for his mother. Every task he'd taken for granted became a billable service with a 50/50 split. Within 2 weeks, Marcus owed me $3,200 in 50/50 split services. "I'm not paying this," he said, crumpling my invoices. "Then I'm not providing the services," I replied. 50-50 means we each handle our own responsibilities, right? His world started unraveling immediately. If you're enjoying this story of quiet revenge, hit subscribe because it gets better. The first crack appeared when Marcus missed his mother's birthday. For 7 years, I'd remembered every important date, bought every gift, maintained every relationship. Without me, his carefully constructed image of the perfect son crumbled in one forgotten phone call. "Why didn't you remind me?" he demanded. "Emotional labor," I said, handing him another invoice. "You owe me $75 for relationship management services. Split 50/50ths. The second crack, his dry cleaning piled up until he ran out of clean shirts. The third, he showed up to a client dinner wearing wrinkled clothes because I no longer managed his wardrobe. But the real destruction began when I stopped being his emotional dumping ground. Marcus came home after a brutal day, needing what he'd always taken freely: my attention, my comfort, my strength. I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, working on freelance projects. "I need to talk," he said. "That'll be $100 for therapy services," I replied without looking up. "Your 50-50 portion is $50. Cash or Venmo. Stop this game, Linda." "I'm serious." "So am I, Marcus." You wanted everything split equally. Emotional support is a service. Pay for it or find it elsewhere. His face twisted with something I'd never seen before: desperation. "You're my wife. According to you, I'm your roommate with a 50-50 financial obligation. Wives get emotional care included. Roommates pay market rates." That night, he slept alone not because I banished him, but because I no longer provided the emotional availability that made intimacy possible. Comment your location if you've ever had to teach someone your worth the hard way. 3 weeks into my new system, Marcus cracked completely. "This is insane," he shouted, waving a stack of my service invoices. "You can't charge me for being my wife." "I'm not charging you for being your wife," I said calmly. "I'm charging you for being your unpaid employee. Remember? 50-50 means we're both responsible for our own needs." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Marcus?" "Because for 3 weeks, you've enforced financial separation like a business contract. So I'm treating this like a business." He stared at me, finally understanding the monster he'd created. "I want my wife back. Pay your bills first." But the real twist was yet to come. See, while I was building my case with invoices and documentation, I was also building something else: my escape plan. Those freelance projects I'd been working on? They weren't random gigs. I'd been consulting for his biggest competitor, using insights from 7 years of pillow talk about his business strategies. Every stressed conversation he'd had with me about company vulnerabilities, every late-night worry about market positioning, every frustrated rant about his board of directors, I'd absorbed it all. And now I was quietly selling that intelligence to the one person who could use it most effectively. Marcus had spent months treating me like I was worthless, invisible, disposable. He forgot that invisible people see everything. His competitor launched a hostile takeover bid with surgical precision, targeting every weakness Marcus had unknowingly revealed to me during our marriage. They knew exactly when to strike, exactly where he was vulnerable, exactly how to structure their offer to tempt his shareholders. The morning Marcus lost control of his company, he came home devastated, broken, needing comfort. "I don't understand how they knew," he whispered, collapsing onto our couch. "Every move they made. It's like they had inside information." I looked up from my laptop where I was reviewing my final consulting payment, enough money to start over anywhere in the world. "That'll be $200 for therapeutic services," I said quietly. "Your 50-50 portion is $100. The color drained from his face as understanding dawned. "You didn't. I applied your 50-50 rule to everything, Marcus. Including loyalty. Linda, please. For 7 years, I gave you my complete devotion for free. The moment you decided I wasn't worth investing in, I started investing in myself." He dropped to his knees beside my chair, the powerful man I'd built reduced to begging. "I'll change. I'll go back to how things were. I'll take care of you again." "With what money?" I asked gently. "Your competitor owns your company now. Your golden parachute was contingent on certain performance metrics you'll never hit. According to my calculations, after legal fees and severance obligations, you'll have about $200,000 left. How do you know? Because I helped plan your destruction, Marcus. Every piece of information they needed, I provided. Every strategic weakness, every board member's pressure point, every client relationship you took for granted. The man who'd reduced our marriage to a transaction was learning the true cost of treating love like a business. What do you want? He whispered. Nothing, I said, closing my laptop. I already took everything I needed. When? He asked, voice breaking. When did you stop loving me? I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. This broken man kneeling on our marble floor, finally understanding that actions have consequences. I told him. The same day, he stopped seeing me as his wife. The next morning, I was gone. Not dramatically, not with fanfare. I simply wasn't there when he woke up. The penthouse he guarded so jealously became his prison. The luxury he'd hoarded became meaningless without someone to share it with. The 50-50 rule he'd enforced so strictly left him with exactly half of nothing. I started over in a city where no one knew my name, with enough money to build a life that belonged entirely to me. No splits. No calculations. No keeping score. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't screaming or breaking things. Sometimes it's simply applying someone's own rules with perfect precision until they understand exactly what they've done. If this story gave you chills, share it. Someone needs this strength today. And remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Then show them who you are. My name is Linda. I'm 32 years old. And I've never been happier to split something 50-50ths.